YouTubers. This is my book review on how to win friends and influence people by Dale Carnegie. I guess I read this book maybe 5 years ago, and to be honest, I should probably study this book more than I have, but it's been really good stuff that I've applied or tried to apply. I could always improve on it. It's an older book. A lot of books I have are older books. You don't necessarily need to go and spend a lot of money on brand new books. This book's been very helpful for me in all areas, and just dealing with people. When you read it too, it's also really, you'll need a companion, like just a cheap notebook. It's more of a workbook once you read it. Of course, it doesn't hurt to just read it through. You can read it real quick, maybe you can get something out of it, but to really use it properly, you need a notebook and do what it says. I actually went through this book and highlighted the areas, and also, like a dork, I highlighted them blue for to do. So the things I highlighted them blue, that's what I needed to do. And there's still, here's an example, here's one. You may not be able to read it. Talks about in blue, you should write down the birthdays and of people and send letters. And it's really not to schmooze people, but it's just the right thing to do. And I'm terrible about this, and that's something I need to work on. And I looked at that when I reviewed this book. It's like, gosh, I'm still not sending birthday cards and stuff like I should to my own family. So I need to practice this book more, but I also recommend it to you as well. There's also been some interesting stuff in this book, some quotes and a little bit of history and stuff, but as long as you understand, it's really a workbook. But here's a quote in here, or not a quote, it talks about Benjamin Franklin, and I'll read it to you. Benjamin Franklin, tactless in his youth, became so diplomatic. Excuse me while I put on my glasses. Tactless in his youth, became so diplomatic, so adroit at handling people, that he was made American ambassador to France. The secret of his success is, he said, I will speak ill of no man, he said, and speak all the good I know of everybody. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do, but it takes character, self-control to be understanding and forgiving. A great man shows his greatness by the way he treats little man. That's another quote from somebody else, and that's so true. A great man does show, or a person, man or woman, shows greatness by how they treat the little person. And I do also pay attention to that, by the way. I, for one, honestly, I try to treat everybody the same, give the same respect and dignity. And to me, everybody's got different areas that they bring value, and we're all people. But there's other stuff in this book. See, let me see if I can find any more nuggets. Well, maybe I'll read about President Lincoln, what it said about that. It's a good book. Let's read some of this. Okay. As a young man in the Pigeon Creek Valley of Indiana, he not only criticized, now they're talking about President Lincoln right now, before he was president. He not only criticized, but he wrote letters and poems ridiculing people, and dropped these letters on the country roads where they were sure to be found. One of these letters aroused resentments that burned for a lifetime. Even after Lincoln had been a practicing lawyer in Springfield, he attacked his opponents openly in letters and published in the newspapers. But he did this just once too often. Yeah, he was kind of doing it anonymously, and that's even worse. That would upset me if somebody was smack talking me and then they were hiding behind a paper. And I hate to think of Lincoln like that, but this is some of the stuff he learned from. So we'll read on. In the autumn of 1842, he ridiculed a vain, pugnacious politician by the name of James Shields. Lincoln lampooned him through an anonymous letter that published in the Springfield Journal. The town roared with laughter. Shields, sensitive and proud, boiled with indignation. He found out who wrote the letter, leaped on his horse, and started after Lincoln and challenged him to fight a duel. Now this was different times back then, and you have to understand back then, if you didn't accept a duel, it's not like, it was different times. Like now, if you don't confront a confrontation, maybe people think of you as a coward and all that, and you should confront stuff, but this is a duel. This is life or death. And if you, I'm assuming, this book doesn't say this, but if you don't accept a duel, your career is probably shot back then. I'm assuming, I don't know for sure, but I got to thinking like, wow, that would put somebody in a bad situation. You know, they have to accept it or their career shot, and you know, the people lose respect. So, Lincoln didn't want to fight. He was opposed to dueling, but he couldn't get out of it to save his honor. He was given a choice of weapons. Since he had very long arms, he chose the cavalry broadswords and took lessons in sword fighting from a West Point graduate. And on that appointed day, he and Shields met on a sandbar in the Mississippi River, prepared to fight to the death. But the last minute, their seconds interrupted and stopped the duel. And that's another term too interested in this book. Their second, maybe that's the second in command. But thank God they stopped the fight, because one of them was going to be dead, and it may very well have been Lincoln. He may have jacked with the wrong guy. So that was the most personal incident in Lincoln's life. It taught him an invaluable lesson in the art of dealing with people. Never again did he write an insulting letter. Never again did he ridicule anybody. And from that time on, he almost never criticized anybody for anything. And really what I got out of that too, it's not only ridiculing, but even gossip. If you gossip people, it'll always come back, you know. So that's how I interpreted that story. You know, when I was going through it the first time, I was like, you know, maybe I need to think about before I open my mouth and just be quiet. But yeah, this book's helped me out a lot, and I can't locate the notebook, so maybe I should go back and do it again. I remember keeping a notebook and a journal and applying this book, and I'm sure it's had a great influence over my life, or at least I hope it has. That's what my intentions was when I went through this book. But it's definitely a book that I should pick up again and start working on again. You know, especially it won't hurt like if I have a problem to solve, and it's not only career, family, or parenting, or what have you. Record the incident and see what can I do to improve it. You know, and really think about it. So, anyway, this is my book review on this. Earlier I recommended the book, and I highly recommend this book as well, that could possibly help you out. So I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I've enjoyed it, and I thank you for your time, and I bid you a good day or a good evening, and you take care. Till the next time, good night.